Do you want to learn how to make cinnamon rolls in 3 hours as opposed to 12 hours? Well, then I've got a recipe for you. First, what we're going to do is start with 119 grams of whole milk, and it's cold. We're going to heat it up, so we do not need to bring it to room temperature. This is what's called a tangzong. It is a Japanese yeast bread technique that we're going to apply here today. To the 119 grams of milk, I'm going to add 23 grams of unbleached bread flour. Okay, we're going to just whisk this together to combine. And the reason that it's in a small saucepan is because we are going to heat it up. Make sure you get everything incorporated and whisk until there are no lumps. Place over medium heat, and we're just going to keep stirring this pretty frequently until it cooks and it becomes a paste-like consistency where you'll basically see lines with the whisk. That'll take about 1 to 3 minutes. Okay, so now we're getting that paste-like consistency, so we want to keep stirring. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take it off the heat. Okay, guys, now that we have the tangzong done, this is basically what it's going to look like. It's just a paste. And we're just going to add it right in. And this is going to help warm that milk. We're going to add 159 grams of whole milk, 300 grams of unbleached bread flour, 25 grams of granulated sugar, 6 grams of salt, 6 grams of yeast, it's instant yeast, and 57 grams of softened butter. We're going to place our dough hook on our mixer. Once all the ingredients are in the mixer, you want to start the mixer on low. Just let the ingredients incorporate a little bit and then go ahead and increase it to medium low. We're going to let this go for about 10 to 12 minutes until the dough is smooth and elastic. All right, so this is almost done. Looks like we just need a few more minutes. Basically, this will be done when the dough is one big ball. There's no more dough at the bottom of the bowl, and it feels smooth and elastic. All right, you guys, it's finally done. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this dough hook. They just tend to get in the way. I'm going to lift this out, and I'm going to basically roll it into a ball. And then we're going to place it back in our mixing bowl. And we're going to let it rise for about 60 to 90 minutes. And that really just depends on how warm your kitchen is. All right, it's in a ball now. We're going to place it back in here. Okay, and we're just going to cover it with plastic wrap and let it rise. All right. There we go. Make sure that that is covered tightly. All right, I'll see you in about 60 to 90 minutes. All right, we're one step closer to being able to assemble our cinnamon rolls. So first we're going to make the filling for our cinnamon rolls. This is 14 grams of melted butter. It's unsalted. And I'm just going to add this to a larger bowl. And then we want to add 107 grams of brown sugar, 15 grams of unbleached bread flour, and 10 grams of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. Okay. All right, and basically I am just going to stir this until it gets to be the consistency of sand, wet sand, like damp sand. Okay, and so once it's the consistency of wet sand, you can go ahead and set it aside because... All right, our dough is now puffed up. So this doesn't necessarily need to be doubled in size, but it does need to be puffed up. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take the plastic wrap, just set it aside, and I'm going to really quickly lightly flour this surface. And you guys always want to use the same flour on your workbench as you did in your dough. So if you used all-purpose flour in your recipe, then you want to use all-purpose flour on your workbench, and vice versa. So since we use bread flour, we are going to use bread flour on our workbench today. Okay, and make sure that you always have a ruler. This ruler is clear. Sorry. Make sure you always have a ruler. Ruler? Nothing. Okay. Make sure you always have a ruler on hand, so that you can make sure that your measurements are correct to the recipe. Okay, so now I'm just going to take our dough, and I am going to use a lightly greased spatula, and I'm just going to turn it out. You know what? I am not a lefty, so I'm going to turn it out onto the work surface. Okay, there we go. And so now what we're going to do is press this into a 10 by 12 rectangle. And we're going to do it gently. We don't want to remove too many air bubbles. All right, and we've got it 10 by 12. Okay, and now we're ready for the filling. All right, so now we have our 10 by 12 rectangle, and you guys try to make as best of a rectangle as you can with the corners instead of them being just rounded. All right, I'm going to get a spoon, and I'm going to add our filling. Just keep your filling about 1/2 inch in from the edge of your dough. You can certainly brush it along too to help you coat it evenly. Coat this really, really well using all of the filling. So that is all of the filling, and I'm just going to brush it along and make sure that there's equal filling along. All right, now for the fun part. So we're going to roll the dough. You want to take the long edge closest to you and just kind of lift gently with your thumbs. And you're going to roll it over. And you just kind of want to keep it a tight roll, as tight as you can. And you can keep pushing back with your fingers, but just make sure that regardless of how you need to work your dough, that you do keep it within the same measurements. So they're not going beyond 10 inches wide. So just keep tucking and pressing as you roll. Okay, and then at the very end, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to remeasure and make sure that it is 10 inches. And it is edge for edge, 10 inches. So now we're going to go ahead and just pinch that seam. Okay, and we're just going to pinch just like that, just so that the dough meets and kind of pastes itself together so it doesn't come apart. All right, bring this up. Okay. There we go. Now it's sealed. All right, so now we need to measure 1 1.25. You can do 1.5. You can do 2 inches, however many or however big you want them. I'm going to do mine 1.25 because I want 8 out of this. I'm going to take my serrated knife and I'm just going to gently cut through. You can use dental floss too if you like. And I'm going to take that cinnamon roll and I'm going to place it on a parchment lined baking sheet. And then I'm going to continue until they are all done. You guys, I switched to my bench scraper. It's just easier. All right. All right, guys. So this is how you want to arrange your cinnamon rolls. You just kind of like 1, 2, 3, just kind of where they're about 2 inches apart from one another. This will prevent anything from expanding into each other when they rise. All right, and I am going to just spray some plastic wrap with some cooking spray. And then I'll flip it around and lay it right over the cinnamon rolls. We're just going to cover it loosely. We don't need to cover it tightly this time. We want a little bit of air in there. So these are going to rise for about 30 to 60 minutes. You want these to be puffy. And when they're ready, the dough, when you press it, it won't bounce back too quickly. It'll kind of be slow to come back. Okay, so these are ready to put in the oven. I have removed the plastic wrap, and I just want to show you what they look like, doubled in size, if I don't lose my parchment. And what you want to do is put them, let me just show you, on the top third rack of your oven, not the middle, not the lower. You're going to preheat your oven to 375, and then you're going to add your cinnamon rolls to the top third of your oven. And we're going to bake these for 14 to 18 minutes, and you want to turn them halfway. We're winding down, and the cinnamon rolls are in the oven baking, and while they are, I want to make the icing for our cinnamon rolls. First, we want to take 21 grams of unsalted melted butter, and we're going to add them to a measuring cup. And the reason, vanilla extract, and this is a half of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to add 170 grams of confectioner's sugar. Woo. 14 to 28 grams of whole milk, and I'm going to add that as I stir this in, but I do want to add about a pinch of salt. Okay, and now we're just going to mix this together. I am going to add about half of this right now. And the reason for the variation in the milk is because you just want whatever consistency you like. So that is done. And that's just kind of what you want right there. I just want to tell you guys, there's like 5 minutes left in the cook time for the 14 minutes. And it's starting to smell so good in here. Like, I can't wait to eat these cinnamon rolls. I feel like a little kid in the mall going to Cinnabon. No joke. All right, the timer just went off. Oh, look at these, guys. Nice and golden browned and cinnamony and delicious and wonderful. And I can't wait to ice them and eat them. Okay, so these have just come out of the oven. They're piping hot. And the first thing you want to do is you want to add 21 grams of melted butter to the tops of these. So we're just going to brush a little bit on each one of them. Give them that nice coating of butter before they cool down enough for us to ice. Just like so. Okay, it is time to ice our cinnamon rolls. I'm going to take my offset spatula, and I'm just going to put a little bit of icing on at a time. Let me get this closer. Okay, and then we're just going to add your icing. All right. I almost want to put like a ton on there, but I also want to save some for the other rolls. Kind of. If you ice all of them, that's okay. You can do that, but you can also, if you are going to rewarm these in the oven like the next day, it would be best to just not ice all of them. Just ice what you're going to eat that day, and then leave everything at room temperature. Obviously store it in an airtight container, but leave everything at room temperature. Don't store it in the fridge. And then you can reheat the cinnamon rolls in the oven at 300 degrees for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many of them you have to put in there. And then you can use your icing that is also stored in an airtight container at room temperature. You can also use that on the remaining cinnamon rolls as well. So nothing has to be stored in the refrigerator. I did those 3 for me and my family, so we're going to eat these. That one's mine. We're going to eat these. So let's give it a taste. All right, let's give this guy a try. Oops. It's so soft and pillowy. Oh, that is so good. The icing is not too sweet, so it's good for kids or adults. That cinnamon. This is truly a delicious cinnamon roll, and it was only done in 3 hours versus 12 hours, which it normally takes, which is why I never make them. But when I found this recipe, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a go. And they're the best cinnamon rolls that I've had. And I can't wait for you guys to make them. Let me know if you like them. And if you're local, we actually have put these on our menu. So you can now buy cinnamon rolls from us. If you just go to our website, you're able to order there. I'll put the website link in the description box. Thanks you guys for joining me. I hope you make this recipe. From our kitchen to yours. Happy eating. Bye.